This is an exclusive presentation of Super League's opening weekend on Peacock.
The USL Super League continues its historic inaugural weekend from the Lilac City as Spokane Zephyr FC hosts Fort Lauderdale United. Sophia Braun is more than ready to lead Zephyr FC on this journey just 1 year after scoring for Argentina in the World Cup. But Shania Gordon and Fort Lauderdale United didn't travel nearly 3,000 miles just to be a footnote in the history of this opening weekend. It's Spokane and Fort Lauderdale in the USL Super League. Another new league welcomed under the USL umbrella this weekend here in the opening weekend of play in the USL Super League. We started things in Charlotte, and now we kick things off in the Pacific Northwest as Spokane Zephyr FC hosts Fort Lauderdale United. Alongside the three-time Division I All-American Renee Washington, I'm Joe Malfa. Happy to have you along for this one as we take a look at the footprint of USL Super League. 8 teams in this inaugural season, and the footprints that we need to really follow in this one belong to Amina Ekic, because she was outstanding in her past time in Europe, her past time in Australia, her past time in NWSL, and now for Spokane.
Yeah, head coach Joe Johnson said she will cause teams fits, dynamic, versatile, can play in small areas and spaces, but also can stretch the field. It's going to be a big boost for them. She had the goal in the debut with her time at Racing Louisville. We'll see if she can get this goal in the debut today. And
on the other side, it's Leveni Vaca on the back line for Fort Lauderdale, who's making some history tonight, Tonga's first female professional soccer player.
Yeah, the Sandy, Utah native, as you mentioned, one of the starters anchoring the back line today with that international experience with the Tonga national women's team. Also has had a great experience and career with BYU, including a number of accolades. 2022 Defender of the Year, first team all-region, a Mac Herman Trophy watchlist player. Going to be a big boost for this back line.
And the third member of our crew, Elise Woodward, caught up with Spokane captain Taylor Elmer before the game.
All right, well, it's finally game time. There's been so much build-up to this, Taylor. What's it like? What do you really want to establish here in game one of the first professional franchise in women's sports history here in Spokane?
Honestly, we just want to show up for Spokane. We've been out in the community in these last 2 weeks we've been here and have felt their support immensely. So to be able to come out and hopefully produce quality soccer for them, put on a good show, and just establish who we want to be as a club in this city and feel that with the fans, that's our goal today.
You guys came together back in July, and all new names, new faces, new franchise, new everything. What has been the most important thing to getting to this moment?
I think it's building relationships. You know, we all have come from different backgrounds, different ages. We all never really have played together before. So in a matter of 6 weeks, we had to figure out how to be a team. And those relationships don't form overnight. It's taking time to get to know your teammates, get to know them on the field, off the field. So to, in 6 weeks, take a group of strangers and make them a team is something really special.
Well, time to make history. Thanks for your time. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
There's a buzz around One Spokane Stadium right now. Fans are hungry to get things going. It's Spokane Zephyr FC and Fort Lauderdale United FC coming up next here in the opening weekend of the USL Super League.
New flavors. Same traditions. Be the guest of honor. Add more flavor to your parties. El Jimador. Spiked Bebidas.
This is the beginning. This is a first practice, a first video session, a first pregame talk. This is a first ticket, a first scarf raise, a first kickoff. This is a tapestry of clubs and players and communities inspired by those who blazed the trail for women's sports, ready to inspire the next generation. We are the USL Super League. We're part of a movement, and this is our moment.
The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why.
Yeah, I said what I said. I don't care. I paint town red. horses are broken free from the fields.
We all have goals. But let's be honest, most of us aren't going to be professional athletes. But if your goal is to finish your degree, we can help. Come to a university that puts your goals first. Bellevue University, your partner in finishing goals.
The first of many walks out of that tunnel here at One Spokane Stadium in Spokane, Washington, as Zephyr FC are set to take on Fort Lauderdale United FC. Inaugural match for these two clubs here in the USL Super League. Let's meet the inaugural starting 11s for both these clubs, beginning with Spokane Zephyr FC.
Yeah, for the home team, as Coach Johnson mentioned pregame, pretty set on their back line and most of their midfield, including team captain Taylor Almer, who we heard from pregame alongside Elise. Now, there were some battles up top as well as in goal. It's Izzy Nino that gets to start between the pipes, and then their right back also was another area with McKenna Carr that they were still ironing out.
It's a bit of a homecoming here for the opposing head coach, Tyrone Mears. Won MLS Cup with the Seattle Sounders, now back in Washington, making his head coaching debut.
Well, unlike the home team, Fort Lauderdale had no idea, as head coach Mears was mentioning, who they were going to roll out with today. They did roll out with more of a 4-3-3. It looks like there were some close battles all throughout. It was Slave Vaca on the back line, who we highlighted, as well as Celia Gaynor. And then Cassette Morche gets to start in net to anchor this back line that wants to be organized from the opening whistle.
Morche, a very experienced goalkeeper at the back to help guide things for that back line. Spent a year in Spain, spent a year in France, and also some time in NWSL. So a lot of experience on that back line. That's the name of the game for Fort Lauderdale United. Sophia Braun in that midfield here for Spokane. World Cup player for Argentina. Referee in charge, Rebecca Pagan, will send us on our way here in this first home game for Spokane Zephyr in the USL Super League. Renee, I imagine there's some level of jitters coming into this game. It's not necessarily the first professional game for a lot of these players who play professionally either here in the United States or abroad. But as Taylor Almer said in that interview with Elise Woodward, it's the first time they're taking the field for a competitive match together. Players who have just come together in the last 5-6 weeks, there have to be butterflies right now.
Without a doubt, and we're excited just watching. You know, I can't imagine on the pitch what that feels like to be part of the first in this historic moment. And also all these players that have come together over the last 6 weeks that went from being strangers or maybe even opponents, college teammates. They have all different backgrounds and relationships, but it all matters how they come today together as one team to kick off this start of the season.
And we are underway here from One Spokane Stadium. Zephyr FC from left to right in the black, and Fort Lauderdale from right to left in the white. Alongside the three-time Division I All-American Renee Washington, I'm Joe Malfa. We have kickoff in the second ever match here in the USL Super League.
And Joe, this is very important how both of these teams start off to set the tone, especially because it is game number 1, the start to your season. And both coaching staffs spoke with us pregame about how they were just trying to focus on what they can control, what their team can do between the lines, not as much as their opponent, to make their opponent have to adjust to them. So it starts with this opening first 5 of making sure you're settling in, getting rid of the jitters and nerves to play a good brand of soccer.
Carolina Ascent were able to figure things out in the opening match. That one just went final. Carolina 1, DC Power 0. So your first win in this league's history belongs to Carolina. The first goal belonging to Vicky Bruce in the 27th minute of that one. So study up. It'll be in every trivia competition we have going forward. Pop quiz maybe at the mid-year break. Vicky Bruce, goal number 1 for Carolina Ascent.
And now everybody's looking to see who can get that number 2. Audrey Harding with the assist on that goal that Vicky Bruce scored just around the 27-minute mark of play. And this is now with game number 2, time to see if they can up the goal number that we've seen in the league so far to kick off this inaugural weekend.
That was Cheyenne Allen, who headed it out of play, returning to the United States herself here after a year spent in Portugal, after 4 successful years at Brown, an all-Ivy League honoree.
I've had a chance to see Cheyenne play quite often through my Ivy League coverage, and a great outside back, really going to help them be able to press forward.
Jared Worley was calling for it centrally, Kenny McCain goes to the right side. Now it is Gorley. Flag stays down. Gorley had it blocked by Katie Murray. Dangerous front three for Fort Lauderdale. Floated to the back post, and it's swing and a miss from Shania Gordon.
That's a great build-up there. Nicely done. You just look at the number of players that they have in a good position for Fort Lauderdale to come out, be able to reset here. A nice driven ball across, and it's Gordon on the back post that was able to stay on side, get a good spot to look to get that first-time finish. Just missed it by a hair to get that at least headed towards frame. But for that first opening play, that's your first real threatening chance in the attacking third. Well done by Fort Lauderdale.
And here are your keys to the game presented by Ford. What do you got for us, Renee?
Yeah, it definitely starts looking at the home team. Just wanted to be aggressive possession. That's something that they've talked about as a team, as their identity of wanting to make sure that they bring the tenacity, the competitiveness, and that aggressive possession is playing quick, moving the ball, getting numbers around the ball. That's their identity, and the identity on the other side for Fort Lauderdale. Competing to win, competing in everything on and off the pitch, in practice, whatever they're doing, and it starts with that focus of what you can control, which is how hard you're working and challenging the person across from you.
And third member of our crew, Elise Woodward, in the build-up to this match, asked Fort Lauderdale head coach Tyrone Mears about his identity as a head coach, and the way she got into the question was, look, it's his first match as a head coach, and as a former player who becomes a head coach, you typically have your identity as a player from when you used to play rub off on your new team now. So she asked, what were you like as a player, and how might that rub off on your team now? And the first word he said, I'm glad you used that for the keys to the game, was competitive. He said he was a defender, he was an attacking-minded defender, but above all else, he was competitive, and that's the mentality he wants his players to adopt.
And you're exactly right, Joe. I remember making my transition from playing to then coaching college soccer, and I wasn't the head coach, and even as an assistant, you want to instill that.
Opportunity for Spokane. There's some contact at the edge of the area. A decision to have been made there for Rebecca Pagan. Foul, no foul, and in the box, out of the box, and it's out of the box, and it's no foul. So it's a goal kick coming for Fort Lauderdale.
And that's another part of the identity that head coach spoke about, of just wanting to be, especially as a defender himself, really strong and organized in their defensive shape.
Tyrone Mears coming from the Inter Miami Academy ranks. That was his last job before taking this head coaching job. So staying in South Florida, where he can rely on one of his mentors, Tata Martino. Played under Tata Martino at Atlanta United. He was able to join his staff this past year when Tata Martino took over Inter Miami. One of the many coaches that Tyrone Mears has played under that he really has on speed dial, so to speak, that he can rely on for advice at any time. So that Coach Martino and his staff have been so helpful to him. Back in the day, played under Siggy Schmidt, played under Brian Schmetzer up here in this region with the Seattle Sounders, and a lengthy career in England. Said he's trying to kind of rack his brain for some of the good and bad he took from coaches, and trying to weed out some of the things he didn't like and only apply the things he did like from coaches he played for, now that he is the one in that position.
And I like that, because it was him trying to figure out his own identity as a coach versus just trying to emulate what he's seen from others. And that's what this team and that's what this club is looking to do, is pave their own way, be innovative, and bringing their own experiences, whether as players, coaches, or even as a staff, to really set the foundation of what this club is going to look like. So I applaud him for that thought process.
Long ball from Cummings. It's Weiner who gets on the end of it. Good defensive play in the end by Celia Gaynor. It's a couple of times now that Spokane has gone direct. Last one was to Taryn Reese that had that bit of contact edge of the area. This one finds Weiner. It seems like this might be their MO.
Well done there with the direct ball. Timed it well to be able to find Mackenzie Weiner getting forward, who found herself in a good position working towards net. You look at this ball here again. Well done by Cummings to knock that forward. Weiner able to use some space to get into open green, and then just well done to recover defensively by Gaynor. But it is seeming like they want to play a little bit more direct at times as well, especially early on.
Ekic will take this corner. Low driven ball toward that back post, begging for somebody to get on the end of it. ICCU corner kick, your financial success fan club. Dangerous one from Ekic, but nobody there to tap it home.
This is what you like to see from the home team after that near chance that we saw the other way by Gordon. Ever since, they've been keeping a little bit better of the possession getting forward.
Spokane keeping that pressure up, cleared by Baca. We're learning about these teams in real time as you are at home, and again, 6.5 minutes in, keep that in the back of your mind. Spokane's willingness to go long in a situation like this, Renee, where these teams have been together so far for 5 to 6 weeks with preseason commenced and out, does it favor attacking sides early on or defensive sides? What's the aspect that takes a little bit longer to gel and mesh?
Defense definitely takes longer to figure out because you have to be on the same page, and a lot of times it's even that unspoken communication of just knowing how to shift and slide as a unit from your goalkeeper all the way forward, whereas as an attacker, sometimes you can make a great play individually and that be the difference. So for every team, it's going to take them time to get their defensive structure, shape, movements down, but offensively, you're still learning the tendencies. Does a player like to flick? Do they prefer the ball at their feet? What kind of runs do they like to make? And still getting that chemistry to gel, which will take time.
Celia Gaynor, 24-year-old center back from Michigan. Spent the last 2 seasons at Michigan State, where she was all Big Ten, drafted this year in the NWSL, 45th overall pick. Nice line-breaking ball here from Gaynor. Let's ignite this attack. It's Knox, and it's over the line for a corner.
Just that quickly, as we saw a corner kick on one side, we're coming back the other way with another corner kick. Well done by Katie Murray there on the sliding attempt to try to hustle and save that from being a corner. Definitely don't want to give up set pieces if you can minimize any corner kicks.
Katie Murray spent time in Finland, Spain, and the Netherlands, and NWSL before finding her way here now in Spokane. Alicia Knox drives the corner. Out of play, out for a goal kick.
That's when you'd like to have back. Felicia Knox put a good pace on that ball, just drove it a little bit too close to the frame and out of bounds. A big part of, as we're talking through the attack, is making sure you're taking advantage of your chances when you do get forward.
Joe Johnson, the head coach for Spokane, coming from the college ranks, where she was an assistant at Tulsa. Giving away here off the goal kick. Gordon goes for goal, and it's saved by Izzy Nino. First time she's been called into question.
Gordon does a good job there of just using a good defensive play to lead to a nice offensive attack. It starts as a team of just picking the pass off from that goal kick, and then Gordon, now we've seen twice, able to get into a good space off the field.
This is open end-to-end in the first 10 minutes. It's Spokane's turn to go at goal here. Some bodies forward, and it ends up as another corner. I don't know, again, Renee, what we were exactly expecting coming into this one. 2 unknowns, but if we have 90 minutes of this, get your track shoes ready. It's going to be a fun one.
And we should be seeing some more goals added to the USL ledger if this continues. Again, it's Mackenzie Weiner that's getting forward, creating some havoc we're seeing in these opening minutes, doing a good job of just pressing, drifting into pockets to find the ball and creating something out of it.
Corner out to the penalty spot, flicked on. Still bodies forward. Moves at the edge of the area, but nothing that Sophia Braun could do. Playing surface here is turf, but it is FIFA-approved turf. The highest quality you can find, as Spokane as an organization have just invested so much into the teams. Zephyr here in Super League, and of course Velocity in USL League One.
It is a beautiful day for a home opener, and great crowd, great turnout. The pitch looks fantastic.
Upper 80s temperature-wise, but no humidity, dry heat. So Fort Lauderdale, coming from a very sticky, hot, humid South Florida, should have no issues adapting to the weather.
Not at all, to say the least.
Baca does well to shield that all the way over the end line. Spent the last few years at BYU, 55th overall pick this year in the NWSL. Drafted by Bay FC, never appeared. Jumped at the opportunity to join Fort Lauderdale. Has 5 caps for Tonga's women's national team, most recently in World Cup qualifying play.
So far we're seeing for Zephyr that they're doing a good job of building up. That's something that they really wanted to pride themselves on, is their style of play of being able to build out of the back and put some pressure on. We've been seeing them do that a good amount of times, especially through Mackenzie Weiner.
The way that Tyrone Mears described what he ideally envisioned for this Fort Lauderdale side, exciting and offensive-minded while being organized at the back, because he feels they have the talent all across the board to play that high-octane style. You look at their front 3 today from left to right with Shania Gordon, Gianna Gorley, and Jasmine Hamid on the right side. those three players outstanding, and then you have Felicia Knox and Addie McCain pulling the strings underneath. You go to the bench, and you have a player like Nia Christopher, who was an All-American last year collegiately, and a couple of young standouts, Taylor Smith, the 16-year-old, who has proven herself enough to be on this opening day 18. So there's so much talent all across the board. A lot of competition on the attacking end. So, you know, these Fort Lauderdale players trying to get goals not only to win games, but also keep their spot in this starting 11 with a lot of competition behind them.
And that's the exciting part about this opportunity, this moment for these players is a chance to be able to really instill your footprint in this league and within your team to show that you're deserving of being an everyday player, a starter that they can rely on and build around. You know, both coaches stress that although they might have a starting 11, they're still rotating and still trying to figure out what the best combinations look like. And it probably won't happen week 1 or even week 2 once we get around to that September 6th weekend. It's going to take time to figure out who are your leaders, who are your top players, the ones that are your impact players to help you win games. So lots of jobs to be won out here on the pitch to help their team.
Both head coaches ahead of this one really highlighted that point, especially Joe Johnson in charge of the Spokane side, that they're not really looking too much into opponent scout these first couple of matches because there's nothing you could really figure out as far as watching tape. It's going to take 3-4 games to really see identities forged and meshing among the lines for these opposing teams. So it's about a month of just introspective looks, figuring yourselves out, how you can be the best version of yourselves, and try to figure out your starting 11, because just because these are the 11s these two coaches put out tonight doesn't necessarily mean it's the 11s you'll see in the next one or the one after that.
And that's the key, not to mention there are, for every team, they're just waiting for some players to even be available, whether due to injury or due to some logistics in rosters. So there are definitely going to be roles that are evolving as the season evolves, and for both coaching staffs, it's good to have your eyes wide open and not be locked in too soon to who your starting 11 is, because they're giving players a chance, and that competition internally is going to help produce that fire that you see in games as well.
Felicia Knox taken down. Two-time first-team All-SEC player and the 2022 SEC Midfielder of the Year. Felicia Knox, 18 goals, 31 assists in her time at Alabama.
That's the incredible thing when you look at these players' resumes and what they've accomplished, whether internationally, collegiately, you know, just in their soccer careers leading up to this moment. It's a lot of great talent coming together, and even that is something, as we talk to the starting 11, that's really going to take time. You can scout what a player's done prior to this, but it's going to look completely different with a different jersey on, rocking either Fort Lauderdale or Spokane Zephyr FC.
Adrian Jordan keeps it alive. Morley drops it in the pocket. He's looking for Hamid. Katie Murray.
There's some more of that high-flying pressure that Fort Lauderdale United wants to bring, of playing exciting soccer, not just sitting back. The defense starts with their front three, putting pressure on the back line of the home team.
And it's Murray. She's the perfect example of a player that is so greatly helped by a league like this. Had to go abroad after her collegiate career to 3 or 4 different countries. Now it's sprung through for Amina Ekic. Ekic with the legs. Ekic taken down. Penalty.
Amina Ekic working against Cheyenne Allen on that side. 1v1, using some flair and creativity. The ball at her feet. Take a look at this again. Just faces up against Allen. A quick roll, and then the Meg through to create some space. Draws the contact, draws the foul. This is why we talked about Amina prior, and as we were looking at the pregame matchup, because of that play right there. That's that dynamic movement in tight spaces, confidence on the ball to see if you can help get your team on the scoreboard.
Ekic won the penalty, and now she will take the penalty. 6 caps in World Cup, or rather in Euro qualifying for Bosnia and Herzegovina. It's Amina Ekic with the first goal in Spokane Zephyr FC history.
History is made and history repeats itself. Amina Ekic with the goal to open up play. had the opening goal in her debut for Racing Louisville in her first NWSL regular season game, and now the first USL game, gets the first goal. You look back at what caused it, draws the penalty kick here, working up against Cheyenne Allen, and beautifully just composed finish there to place that one in the corner, puts it away, makes some history, and gets to now enjoy this historic moment, putting them on the scoreboard first. Well done by Mina Ekic.
Stand out collegiately at the University of Louisville. Stayed put professionally there with Racing Louisville when she was the number 5 pick in the 2021 NWSL draft. Trying to get it right back now, Fort Lauderdale, and it's saved by Izzy Nino. Actually, no time off the kickoff down that right side through Jasmine Hamid.
As we're highlighting one goal, Shania Gordon's coming the other way, trying to get her team a goal on the other end. That's how fast it swung. I believe it was Felicia Knox that was in on that final header. Just did a good job getting inside and able to get the diving header to try to tie this up.
Now it's Weiner.
It is remarkable, Joe. We were talking about a pregame of Ekic having that historic moment of the opening goal in what would go on to be their first win of regular season play for Racing Louisville. And we wondered if history would repeat itself, and we don't know what the final result of this game will be, but so far she's continued that debut goal tradition.
Ekic, after that time in Louisville, went on to Australia. Standout in the A-League, 8 goals, 4 assists this past season with Melbourne City. Now has an opportunity here in this Division I Professional League, USL Super League, to come back home, try to accomplish the same goals, the same dream.
8 goals, 4 assists, and 21 appearances. Every game on average, Amina was making her mark to help get her team on the scoreboard, and you see it already today. The times that she's been around the ball, not just on the goal itself, just the flair that she brings in the flank spaces and that dynamic movement. Coach Joe Johnson mentioned that she could be a handful for teams, and we're seeing it on display so far in these opening minutes.
Flag will stay down here. It's through for Gorley, cutting inside. Gorley going for goal, and it's just wide. Well, we said it 10 minutes ago. I had noted the clock. It was the 10th minute, and that we were going to maybe be in for a track meet here with some goals, Renee, and it's lived up to the billing so far, just back and forth between these two teams.
It feels like it's time to possibly go play the lottery. We've been spot on with every prediction so far. Gianna Gorley right now, look at how she peels off the defender and then able to face up, changes her run, and now get a good first touch across, shift, create some space, and that chance was very close on that back post by Gorley, tucking in.
Cheyenne Allen did pick up a yellow card. Tonight's injury report is brought to you by Kinetic Chiropractic, a modern approach to chiropractic care. Don't like to see too many names on this list early in the season, but a few names on the Fort Lauderdale side, just one so far on that Spokane side. Hope to keep it clean in the early going of this season, of course.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is such a long season. You do have players that are coming in from just playing internationally. You want to keep them as fresh as you can. As we take a look at that play here, Mackenzie Weinert brought down Cheyenne Allen looking to slide. Got a little extra there with Weinert brought down to the ground. But good to see that Mackenzie is up back on her feet.
And just a reminder for those of you who are new to Super League, which is all of you because we're on the opening day, this season will run through December, the first portion of the season, adopting the global soccer calendar. So we'll go through December, we'll have a winter break, and then we'll get back at it in the spring season. Right now in the long haul to December. 8 teams spread out across the country. Spokane are well aware that they are the furthest away from any other club in this league. Something they've addressed head on, and we asked the question if it's something that'll play into this opening portion of the season. Joe Johnson said, we know that that's the case, but we don't want it to become a crutch for us. We want to be resilient, and we want to respond to this challenge, because it is a challenge that they're going to have to do a lot of the traveling, but they don't want it to become a crutch at any point, and they want to make sure, which they're doing so far, that because of that travel, it means other teams have to come to them as well, and they want to defend this home turf the best they can. They have that 1-0 lead through 21 minutes.
Well, the key is we're talking through all the first, well, they're also the first women's pro soccer team out of Spokane, the only team west of the Mississippi. So they're also trying to showcase what Western soccer, specifically Pacific Northwest soccer, is all about.
Cutting in field, it's Gordon. Very active in this first half, Gordon. We expected that, given her track record.
And just well done there defensively. Izzy Nino does a good job cutting off the angle, making the save. See Nino involved in a number of plays now. The bright green goalie keeper we've seen pretty active in this opening going to keep Fort Lauderdale scoreless. Joe, this is the time the teams should start to settle in a little bit. Of course, there's going to be a lot of changes and adjustments being made, but starting to settle in a little bit to the game tempo and style that they want to play with.
Be out for another throw right next to the corner flag. McKenna Carr will come up to take it. Drafted this year by Seattle, 43rd overall pick in the NWSL draft. Injuries took their toll on McKenna Carr collegiately. 2 knee injuries kept her off the field from the fall of 2019 to August of 2022. So much talent there to be unearthed here by Spokane, so long as she can stay healthy, which she did last year. She ended up transferring over to St. Mary's in the WCC. First team all WCC in her lone season there. Stayed healthy all season long. Now healthy and starting on day 1 for Spokane.
See Spokane just getting so many numbers forward. Katie Murray getting into the attack. You've got Marley Canales, who's actively looking to find the ball. Just getting a lot of black jerseys forward and pressing Fort Lauderdale back. You just can even see it on your screen now, just squeezing everything into one side, making it tough for Fort Lauderdale to break through these lines of pressure that they're bringing.
Had plenty of opportunities. 5 shots to Spokane's 1. But that 1 came on a penalty by Emina Ekic.
Quality over quantity in this situation. Both teams definitely have had some really good threatening opportunities getting forward. We've seen some nice dynamic movements. It was Ekic that had the extra flair and composure to make it count.
I've already seen the wingers flip for Fort Lauderdale. Started off with Gordon on the left and Amit on the right. They've switched sides. You wonder if it's something they spotted. And Coach Tyrone Mears, and they go again. Amit calling for it. There's a penalty spot, but the effort's blocked and it's out for a throw.
With the style of play they're looking to bring of being exciting and high energy, I also wonder if they're going to look to interchange and be more fluid up top versus just a typical left, right, center. But we have seen them making a lot of runs as a front 3 to try to stretch the back line of Spokane.
Shania Gordon, 15 goals in her 4th season spent playing in France. Most recently coming from Montpellier. Free kick on the way for Fort Lauderdale. Sophia Braun, the guilty party.
It's a very dangerous spot on the pitch, too. It allows Fort Lauderdale to get some numbers forward. We're watching the midfield battle play out as both teams are looking to just control the tempo and possession. That spot on the field, not in shooting range as much, but could set up for a nice small set piece. But they might elect to shoot from distance here.
Felicia Knox stands over it. The all-time assist queen for Alabama. 31 career assists, also has her single season record. So with her standing over it and her track record, given her service, you expect maybe a service rather than a shot from here.
Yeah, I wasn't sure the exact placement of where they called the foul, but now seeing where the ball is located, this might be a chip. It's kind of an in-between.
It is that chip. It's well placed. It's knotted back across frame. Nobody there in a white jersey to send it goalward. Kept alive by Fort Lauderdale. A throw coming out now for Spokane.
Well done on that set piece to try to chip that in, get runners in a good spot. Just better read by the defense.
Picked up by Hamid. A moment ago you saw Daria Raji wearing the captain's armband on this Fort Lauderdale side, part of the leadership committee that Tyrone Mears spoke about. So it's really important in his eyes that it's not just his voice that's being heard, it's a group of voices amongst the players that help keep everybody accountable as the season goes along. Talia Raji, the captain, but Addie McCain, Cheyenne Allen, Celia Gaynor, part of that leadership committee. All four in the starting 11 tonight.
And as both teams have announced their captains, you've got one for Spokane, you've got four for Fort Lauderdale. I think it just depends on what your style is and preference in terms of how you want your team to be structured, but both groups have defined leadership groups within their rosters. To have four voices that are holding accountable is great for Fort Lauderdale.
Surging ball for Gianna Gorley. Have to get her more service as we approach the half-hour mark. I haven't called her name a ton. She was outstanding in her collegiate career. Just this week, actually, the Western Athletic Conference, WAC, announced Gorley as their conference's nominee for NCAA Woman of the Year. Had a terrific final season at Grand Canyon University. 21 goals, 5 assists as a senior. It broke the school record for goals in a season, which she set the year prior when she had 18, so broke her own record. And on top of that, part of the nominee for NCAA Woman of the Year came with her 3.91 GPA in the classroom. So Gianna Gorley doing it on and off the field, but hasn't done it on the field yet for Fort Lauderdale tonight. They haven't found that service.
Very impressive when you look at the accomplishments of Gorley, and you can see on the pitch right now, or a couple plays prior, was urging her team to get forward. Right now it does feel like Fort Lauderdale is struggling in that final third to execute, to combine, and they're getting up the pitch. They're just not able to be composed, get numbers, get options. And Gorley right now trying to get her team on the same page a bit more here for game one to see if they can create a little bit more offensively.
Now it's Katie Murray trying the left side. Taryn Reese tucks it back for Sydney Cummings. Just won the Scottish Premier League title with Celtic. Sydney Cummings. 10 appearances, 4 starts for Celtic this past season. And again, that's a big advantage of having adopted the global calendar here in Super League. All these players that we'll reference throughout the night and in the coming weeks, Renee, who have come from a European league or have come from Liga MX, who are on that cycle as well. So it's not like they're coming straight from one season into another. They're coming off of a proper off season and into the throes of this season. So there's no questions of overly tired or overworked legs. They are on the proper cycle right now coming in.
I think that's one of the important things, because as we're talking about the growth of the league, the growth of the sport, it also has to be something that makes sense for players. There's so many overlapping schedules for players that soccer is year-round and just a lot of minutes and a lot of miles logged for players. So to put them first and balance within the international calendar, I think speaks volumes for just the future of what this league is going to bring.
And Zephyr fans, you can scan the QR code to get your single match tickets today. Out to this 1-0 lead. They want to be one of the best home teams in the league, given that every other team has to travel so far to get here. And Amina Akic in the 17th minute gave them their first goal. Half an hour gone here from One Spokane Stadium alongside 3-time Division I All-American Renee Washington. I'm Joe Malva. Glad to have you with us during this inaugural weekend of USL Super League. Earlier tonight we saw Carolina Ascent beat DC Power 1-0 in the inaugural match. Vicky Bruce the goal for Carolina. Same score line here. It's Amina Akic with the goal for Spokane. First in their history. Shania Gordon trying to get it back now for Fort Lauderdale. Gordon looking through for Gorley. Intercepted and cleared.
Does feel like that combination, as they continue to get reps together, will be a really positive impact for this team. You see Gordon, you see Gorley, they're both so active and looking to connect together. Just, of course, needing some time to get that chemistry.
Another ball played centrally. It bounces to the back post. Jasmine Hamid had a chance at it.
Jasmine Hamid, who we saw go track back defensively, make a big sliding play moments ago, now on the receiving end of a service in the box. Up and down that wide flank for Jasmine Hamid. But we've seen that now also, Joe, a couple of times for Fort Lauderdale, where that final service just off the mark, the idea is there, just whether it's the timing of the pass or the run, just haven't been able to connect. And that's what game one looks like typically for teams, trying to figure that out.
Zephyr fans getting match ready with the latest Zephyr merchandise. Shop online or in the team store at the Davenport Grand Hotel in Spokane.
for Zephyr fans, I'm sure they've got to be excited with the start, not only, of course, being in the lead 1-0, but have had the better of possession as we see a foul there.
I see a card attached to it. We will. It's Taylor Almer, the captain, who took out Gianna Gorley.
Taylor Almer just working to hunt the ball back. You look here off of the pass from Katie Murray, loses it, but immediately switches into hunt mode and tries to win the ball right back. Just a bit too aggressive there on that tackle. Unfortunately, also another spot similar to where we saw the last set piece for Fort Lauderdale to be able to set something up, I would say about 8 yards outside of the 18, depending on where it's finally going to be marked.
Almer, again, the captain of the Spokane side. 25-year-old from Garnerville, New York, spent 2 seasons in the NWSL with the Washington Spirit, last season with Racing Louisville, and some time abroad in Finland. Played a role in Washington's trophy lift at NWSL back in 2021, 3 playoff appearances, and route to that trophy. Almer helps clean up the mess she made by committing that foul. It's loose here inside the 18 and cleared to safety by Taryn Reese, the striker, coming back to do some of the work.
Well, I was very wrong on the location of that foul. Definitely looked much closer when we were zoomed in, but I was right that it would be a similar style play as the previous set piece. Again, Fort Lauderdale trying to show some of that craftiness on their set piece execution. Getting numbers in the box. If you're Spokane, you've got to minimize those fouls outside the box.
Fort Lauderdale have certainly grown into this first half. Controlling the possession, controlling the opportunities. Forced Izzy Nino into at least one terrific save. It was right after the kickoff, after the goal by Spokane. Haven't had that good of an opportunity though since. Hamid can't find a way through. And it's Izzy Nino calling for it and taking control of it. Coming from Australia's A-League, where she was with the Newcastle Jets, 22 starts. Save percentage over 70 for Izzy Nino. Prior to that, college days spent at the University of Michigan, where she never really was the starter until her final couple of seasons. Back up her first couple of years, 21 and 22, asserted herself as the starter. Put up some good numbers for Michigan. Had to go abroad before she came back home, though, professionally. And again, that's the real avenue that this league is providing as a Division I pro league here in the U.S. All these players that have had to go abroad, places like France and Portugal, as you look at the players on the field tonight, Finland, Iceland, are all different locations that have popped up. Now they get to stay home and do it.
And that's the exciting thing. I can say from experience that was not always the case here. I dealt with it myself of trying to figure out what makes most sense for your future when we just didn't have as many opportunities as maybe other athletes or even on the men's side that they have. So it's fantastic that for these talented players, they get a chance to choose where they want to play and where best fits them versus, you know, maybe being forced by circumstance.
Joe Johnson was very excited about the opportunities presented by this league, and the opportunity actually presented itself for her as well, coming from the college ranks where she's been an assistant coach the last couple of years. She actually had her first conversations about Super League, just trying to place her own college players, and then soccer world is small, one thing led to another, and now she's coaching Spokane.
Yeah, it's great that both coaches are getting their first head coaching position as a pro. And to hear that story about how head coach Joe Johnson found herself becoming the head coach of this home team, of just genuinely trying to help her players and being involved in conversations, leading her to be now more interested in getting involved in an even bigger way. And I think it just says a lot to even for these coaches, what they bring to the table of helping to grow this league.
Addie McCain lets it run by. Back for Cheyenne Allen on a yellow card, remember. One yellow card each side. It's Allen for Fort Lauderdale, Almer for Spokane. Alicia Knox getting into some trouble here, and Rebecca Pagan does blow the whistle. Free kick coming for the Zephyrs.
Taylor Almer immediately puts it down and plays quick. Has been showing that this leadership for this group in the opening weeks, and you see it on display so far of the little things that don't always show up in the stats books.
for Vaca.
Fort Lauderdale does have the higher possession with around 55% to the 44 for Spokane, and higher of shots and chances created. They still are missing that final third extra. Of course, that is the difference, as we see another save by Izzy Nino. They've had the ball at their feet more, but it feels like Spokane's just been better in terms of the quality, of course, of their actual chance they finished, but also the quality of their possession as they get forward.
A well-shaped ball in down that right side, but just out of the reach of Shania Gordon. Remember, we alluded to it earlier, Fort Lauderdale has a ton of firepower available on the bench. That was the biggest question coming in for Tyrone Mears. Which combination of attacking players would he roll out there? He said there's really 6 players that can, any given day, depending on the opponent, depending on form, there's 6 players who are battling for 4 spots, and he'll rotate it, he'll play the hot hand, he'll make his subs at the proper moments in matches to get all 6 of them out there, but you can't start with all 6 of them. So you wonder if he taps a Nia Christopher on the shoulder at halftime and brings her on, or Anna Henderson. Plenty of options there. Now it's Ekich trying to track this down, but she won't catch up to it.
And that is a great problem to have for Tyrone Mears and his staff, of having for every position, they feel like they've got 2 players that can slot into a bigger role, a starting role. And these are those early season battles. It is only week 1. This result, of course, is going to count for something, but bigger picture, it counts for also giving both these teams a chance to see what they've got in game action. It's been a lot of training, it's been a lot of team building. Now you get to see what it looks like against an opponent in a meaningful game that does count towards standings, to see who are your players you can lean on a bit more heavily.
Windermere Foundation is thrilled to welcome our charity of the month. It's more than a home, it's a way to give back. Please visit our site at www.windermerefoundation.com. For Sarah Clark, another player coming from Australia. Prior to that, time at Purdue and the University of Virginia. Undrafted in 2023 in the NWSL, but found her way to North Carolina, where she was a part of their Challenge Cup triumph, helped lift that trophy with a couple of appearances.
It's very impressive and important to be able to have players sprinkled throughout your lineup that have played a number of roles. You've got some that are coming out of college, some that have won hardware, championships, titles, been a part of making history, breaking records, because that's even perspective and value of mixing. And I know Taylor Almer was mentioning it actually pregame. Different ages, different backgrounds for all of these teams. Just brings an excitement of what could they look like once it all clicks, once it all comes together.
You look at the starting 11 for Spokane, to the point that Almer made. It's players fresh out of college. It's players who are in their late 20s. Here's Mackenzie Weiner. Looking for support, goes for goal herself. There was nobody running with her. Awkward position on that left foot. Always going to be difficult to find the far post, but Weiner did all she could. She's a player who just joined on loan in August from Seattle Reign through the end of the 2024 season.
Well done here. Just does a good job using her body to be able to get to the ball first in front of Celia Gaynor, and then tries to cut inside. Didn't really have options to serve it across the box, so takes it herself. We have seen Mackenzie Weiner, although not the one that scored the goal, has had so many chances for Spokane getting forward and pressing. The runs that she's making out of the middle to drift out wide and pull Gaynor and Vaca with her really makes it tough for Fort Lauderdale to defend.
Weiner on August 5th, just about 2 weeks ago, she actually signed an extension with Seattle Reign through the end of 2025, and with that signing also triggered the loan here to Spokane to help get some more minutes. And this player right now who automatically slots in atop the line for Spokane. Spent this past NWSL offseason, I should say, playing in Australia, where she scored 5 goals in her 17 starts with Melbourne City in the A-League. Not too much on that from Ekich.
Almer's got to be careful there. It's a couple of plays there where as the ball is being turned over and Taylor's looking to hunt it to win it back. Gotta be mindful of it since she's sitting on that yellow card of the extra, just playing smart on any of those tackles. As a yellow card, when you have a yellow card, you don't want to change your game. You just have to try to pick and choose to make sure you're not picking up that second yellow.
Gainer. Looking more now for Gianna Gorley. Almost feels like a matter of time before they connect.
It definitely does. That's been the theme for Fort Lauderdale so far. The ideas are still there, just been off the mark with those runs. Maybe some more communication. Of course, with time, that'll naturally get better too, but for today, the communication could also help.
Find her here. Flag stays down for Gorley. Tried the early entry ball in. Took a deflection off of Clark, and Izzy Nino read that well to prevent conceding a corner.
Yeah, Nino elected to just kick it out with her feet instead of picking it up. Probably not sure exactly if it was going to be considered a pass back or anything, or maybe just didn't have time to react to get her hands on it. Most importantly, was able to keep it from being a corner kick, though.
That is not kept in at the end line. As close as it gets, but the flag does come up.
As this first half winds down, it is important, especially, well, for both teams actually, to really take care of the ball. Obviously, Fort Lauderdale chasing, wanting to tie the game up. For the home team, Spokane Zephyr wanting to make sure that they go into the break still in the lead.
You can scan now and you will win one of 20 unique restaurant discounts. Thank you, Caruso's, De Leon's Taco and Bar, The Burger Dock, Flat Stick Pub, TT's Barbecue, Jimmy John's Casa Top House, IHOP, and Steam Plant Restaurant and Brew Pub.
I have to scan myself.
I was going to say, why aren't you scanning? You got one of 20 restaurant options
that
here.
again.
you got to tap the screen to get it into focus.
Let me see that one again. We're getting some great soccer and some great food. It's a win-win on a Saturday.
Right now it's Spokane in that winning position on the penalty kick goal from Amina Ekic back in the 17th minute. Second time that she's done that for a club. She scored Racing Louisville's first ever goal in NWSL. Racing Louisville, of course, the sister club of Louisville City FC, who's right now on a record pace in USL Championship, could take down nearly every record, wins, points, goals, you name it. Ekic comes from that organization. Now under the USL umbrella herself with Spokane, and scores this club's first ever goal. On the turn, it's Weiner. Back out wide, Weiner calling for it centrally. Reese to the end line. Reese taken down. We have another decision here for Rebecca Pagan, but she'll just point toward the 6-yard box for a goal kick.
Ooh, that was a close one there. Definitely looked like it could have been a penalty kick. As we look again here. No, this is why I'm not an official. Taryn Reese, though, doing a good job getting forward. It started with Katie Murray, who actually on that left side for Spokane has been very active of not only winning 50-50s, but also helping the Zephyrs get forward. And for Murray to start that off, able to help build through, and what led to Reese having that chance in the box. Been a nice boost on that outside back for the Zephyrs to have as an attacking option too.
Halfway through the 2 minutes of stoppage time given. At the half, we'll take a look at the Super League, what it is, what it looks like going forward, what it brings to the table. Take a look at highlights from this first half of action as well. Gorley flicks it to herself, nicely done. Gorley going for a goal, it skips wide. That'll be shot number 7 of this first half for Fort Lauderdale. So they're getting forward, they're finding chances. Only one of them could really be considered a grade A scoring opportunity. On the flip side, Spokane only have the one chance that came on the penalty, which was converted. So you mentioned earlier, Renee, quality versus quantity. There's really not much of either for Spokane, but it was a penalty and they converted it. Fort Lauderdale has the quantity at the moment, but the quality just hasn't followed suit.
Yeah, we know in soccer you can sit on a 1-0 lead. It just makes the game very stressful as time ticks on if you're unable to keep putting the pressure on. It does feel like on the other side, as we just saw that shot from Gorley, they've done a lot of services trying to play the ball across. Good decision there to try to take it off the dribble.
Now it's Hamid going forward, cutting it back. And it gets a lot more stressful defending a 1-goal lead when you're still in your first match as a team and you're not still sure if or when that mistake might happen defensively that you alluded to earlier. But it hasn't happened yet for Spokane. They take a 1-0 lead into the break.
It's a great start for both teams. Spokane making the most of their opportunity off of the foot of Amina Ekic. Now a lot to talk about at the break for both these teams for adjustments and how they come out. It'll be interesting to see.
It was the 17th minute when Ekic got these fans to their feet, and they were able to there's that lead the rest of the way in this first half. Izzy Nino had one moment and she made the big stop.
Yeah, we saw Nino pretty active on that back for Spokane, especially with the pressure Fort Lauderdale was bringing. That's something I'm sure they're going to talk about is defensively, how can we get Nino less involved and be tighter defensively to minimize chances?
And right now, we've got Amina Ekic, who is standing by with Elise Woodward.
All right, thanks, Amina. You make history. You scored the first goal in Spokane franchise history, and it was impressive fashion to earn that PK. Walk me through how you made that happen.
Thank you. I mean, we just kept the ball really well in the back, moved the ball in the final third. We had a big switch over the top. Great ball by Kens. I was fortunate enough to get on the end of it, go 1v1 and earn a PK.
For you, this atmosphere, sold-out crowd, and it's really incredible intensity here. Tell me, playing in front of this crowd, what it's been like.
It's been remarkable. They've been loud. We can feel the energy. I think it was very powerful having all the girls and young women stand behind us as we walked out. We felt the whole community behind us in that moment, and it's an undescribable feeling.
Thanks for your time. Good luck in the second half.
Thank you so much.
Back to you guys.
And what Amina Ekic was referring to there, over 400 local club players joined them on the field pregame, including the Gonzaga women's team as well. And they were all put onto a show in that first half as Spokane lead at 1-0 over Fort Lauderdale. Inaugural weekend here of the USL Super League, 45 down, 45 to go between Spokane and Fort Lauderdale.
This is the beginning. This is a first practice, a first video session, a first pregame talk. This is a first ticket, a first scarf raise, a first kickoff. This is a tapestry of clubs and players and communities inspired by those who blazed the trail for women's sports, ready to inspire the next generation. We are the USL Super League. We're part of a movement, and this is our moment.
I'm a real wild one. Once in a while, we all want to go wild. We just need a little help.
Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
Buckle up for Pro Soccer in September with 2 Spokane Velocity FC home matches in 4 days. Fast-paced professional soccer as Velocity FC battles for a spot in the playoffs. Right here at One Spokane Stadium. September 4th is a nationally televised match with ICCU rally towels for every fan. September 7th is Hispanic Heritage Night. Reserve your seats now.
It's the birth of a team, the origin of our story. The first time we fly our colors. The opening match of the inaugural season of women's professional soccer in Spokane. Bringing home Division I pro soccer talent from far and wide. Be there for Spokane history. Saturday, August 17th versus Fort Lauderdale United FC. We are Zephyr FC. We are home, and this is the beginning. Reserve your seats now.
At Eastern Washington University, students and faculty work side by side to restore a lost prairie and decrease our carbon footprint. Composers are writing music to help us understand how salmon migrate. And urban and regional planning students partner with cities to gather the data they need to address homelessness. Interdisciplinary education that gets real about the real world. That's Eastern Washington University and you.
Spokane Zephyr FC and Fort Lauderdale United. This is the inaugural weekend for USL Super League, the new professional women's Division I soccer league in the United States, committed to providing more professional soccer opportunities for more women in more communities. Let's learn more.
Welcome to USL Super League 101, presented by Bellevue University. In the inaugural season, the USL Super League has 8 clubs competing across the country. And here are just some of the players to look out for. Brooklyn FC, the first pro women's soccer team to call Brooklyn home. Veteran defender Taylor Smith, who has made 10 appearances for the U.S. women's national team, anchors the Brooklyn back line. Carolina Ascent FC, representing both Carolinas, a hotbed for women's soccer. North Carolina native Vicky Bruce is back home, where she won an NCAA championship before starring for clubs in Europe and Australia. Dallas Trinity FC, the iconic Cotton Bowl, is their home stadium. Defender Amber Brooks has a decade of professional experience and has played for the U.S. women's national team. DC Power FC boasts a powerhouse ownership group of local businesswomen and star athletes. Former U.S. Youth national team star Jorian Bacham has featured for top clubs in the United States, Germany, Portugal, and Scotland. Fort Lauderdale United FC, the only major league pro women's sports team in South Florida. Midfield playmaker Felicia Knox was an All-American for the University of Alabama. Lexington SC, where home games are in a new soccer-specific stadium built with women's sports front of mind. Arizona State alum Corey Sullivan is a prolific goal scorer who most recently featured for Scottish Premier League club Glasgow City FC. Spokane Zephyr FC, representing a new frontier in the soccer-mad Pacific Northwest. Forward Thais Reis has played for Brazil's youth national teams and starred for Spanish club Villarreal. Tampa Bay Sun FC, loaded with exciting world-class talent and featuring midfielder Erica Timrak, who has more than 200 professional games under her belt, along with 3 appearances for the U.S. women's national team. Throughout the season, you can catch every USL Super League match, including the playoffs, live on Peacock, and follow at USL Super League on social. The USL Super League is proud to bring more professional women's soccer to fans across the nation. We're part of a movement, and this is our moment.
It's so great to see everything that this league is about and stands for. Long way to go before we get to the end of Season 1, the end of Game 2 of the first weekend coming up between Spokane and Fort Lauderdale. Welcome back to One Spokane Stadium. You had over 400 local club players on the field pregame. Now they've taken their seats and they've seen Spokane Zephyr out to a 1-0 lead here in their home opener. Let's look at the home openers from around the league here in the inaugural season. Carolina won their home opener earlier tonight. Spokane trying to replicate that. Tampa Bay is the next home opener tomorrow. They're sold out. Both of tonight's games were sold out, and that's great to see, Renee.
Sold out crowds, home teams winning. This is exactly what you love to see, and to be able to kick off your season with a home game is a great way to just set the tone for fans for what's to come.
Home teams winning is not what you like to see if you're the road teams, though. So at least the home teams are having fun so far, and this is what everybody is chasing here in 2024, and it'll be given, remember, in 2025 with the global calendar adopted. So at the end of the season in 2025 in the spring, this is the trophy that one of these 8 teams will be able to lift. Carolina Ascent off to a great start earlier tonight. Spokane Zephyr off to a great start so far, but they have 45 more minutes to try and back things up in this one. And Zephyr fans, you can scan the QR code for your chance to win a $100 gift card to Rosauer Supermarket, official grocery store of your Spokane Velocity and Zephyr FC. 45 minutes to go when we return. Spokane leads 1-0 over Fort Lauderdale United here in their respective inaugural games in the inaugural weekend of the USL Super League. We are ready to begin half number 2 here at One Spokane Stadium, where Zephyr FC lead 1-0 on Hergel. Amina Ekage in the 17th minute from the penalty spot. That's the difference right now. Spokane right to left in the black, and Fort Lauderdale left to right in the white. Happy to have you along with us on Peacock here in the inaugural weekend of the USL Super League season with the three-time All-American Renee Washington. I'm Joe Malfa. See which of these two teams can have the better second half. You'd argue in a way that Fort Lauderdale had the better first half. They didn't have the goal that Spokane had, but they controlled a lot of the territory, possession. They had more shots on target, that they did not have that change to their score. Maybe it comes here right away in the second half with Hamid trying to force her way through. Stuck with that 0 right now on the scoreboard. That's what matters most.
It definitely feels like we saw the better of possession in terms of quality from Spokane, but quantity from Fort Lauderdale, as we talked about. I think the biggest thing that I want to see if they adjust on is that final third pass. That final pass they've been making has been forced at times. As you kind of see there, that kind of looks very similar of just getting in around the box and not really being sure how to set up for that goal. So if they can be a little bit more composed with that final run, pass, maybe it's taking someone off the dribble, just having some next level creativity, I think could help be the separation for Fort Lauderdale.
You wonder what the conversation was like on the other side for Spokane. Happy, yes, with a 1-0 lead, but they didn't have too many other opportunities to speak of within that. Braun has a lot of space here to let it fly, and if you saw the goal she scored in the World Cup last year for Argentina, you do not want to give her that much space, but it sails well off target in the end.
Yeah, Sophie Braun can definitely make the most of that green, open green, to be able to get a good shot on goal that can find the back of the net. That is actually something we hadn't really seen from Spokane in the first half. It was a lot more direct, especially finding Mackenzie Weinert or finding Ekic at times. We didn't really see them combining through their midfield into the attack. In terms of getting forward, it was more just to switch possession. So maybe that's even another layer they're going to look to add as they're building this game.
Talk about all the firsts that will happen, of course, for a new league. Carolina gets the first win earlier tonight. Vicky Bruce gets the first goal. Well, Sophia Braun is the first loanee from NWSL to USL Super League, as that was made official back in the middle of July. So first ever loan between the two leagues, and not the only player in the starting 11 tonight for Spokane who's part of that loan process. It was Mackenzie Weinert just 2 weeks ago, coming from Seattle. So already seeing the relationship form from a sporting perspective between the two leagues.
That's the thing, as we talk about these first and these moments, these are players that are also, in addition to winning roles and finding their way on their respective clubs, also marking their names and stamping their spot in some history. As you mentioned, this is going to be the trivia that we look back on years from now at Trivia Tuesdays of remembering these first.
Let me look at Spokane's schedule. Let's see. October 27th. That seems like a good one against Tampa Bay. Pop quiz. I'll have it ready for you if you and I are together a couple of months from now. Keep that in the back of your mind. Make sure you're ready. Sharpen those skills.
I remember it like it was yesterday.
You're going to be coming into that one. All right, Vicky Bruce. All right, Carolina. Who else? You'll go down the list and you'll find the names. Maybe it's Ekic with the first ever brace in league history. Now sent through. Flag does come up here, though, on Spokane.
As you mentioned, we have gotten the first goal of the regular season, but we are still waiting for that brace, the hat trick. There's still more firsts to be accomplished. The first win by multiple goals, that could be a first as well. We saw that near chance there by Almer. It's a little bit offside for Mackenzie Weinert.
She tried to get out of the way of it. I don't know if that would have helped in the end. There was nobody else who would have been able to track it down. A long ball over the top for Fort Lauderdale.
Weinert has been doing a really good job of stretching Fort Lauderdale's back line, staying onside most of the times. Of course, that time was drifting, probably not really to get the ball, but more making a run just to be almost like a decoy, and found Almer playing her the ball. So good to see how she's really locking into that role of being that stretch forward that's going to help you open up some space.
Almost slipped in behind for Fort Lauderdale. And a foul goes against Fort Lauderdale. Reminder of the yellow cards from the first half. Taylor Almer, the captain of Spokane, with the yellow, and it's Cheyenne Allen with the lone yellow for Fort Lauderdale.
We have seen some yellow cards between the two games, the first yellow cards.
Add that to your quiz.
Exactly.
Played through for Weinert. What a ball that was. Weinert goes for goal. She prefers that left foot. In the first half, she had an opportunity that She couldn't really do much with and pulled it wide of the far post. This one, wrong side of the near post, but she's finding those spaces in behind Mackenzie Weiner on a great ball from Taylor Almer.
And this is exactly what you were just referring to, of her ability to stretch the back line. Weiner likes to make those diagonal runs, able to loop it and time it perfectly off of that feed from Taylor Almer. Great pass, great run. Weiner just a little bit out of position on that shot, tried to tuck it near post. The idea was there to try to curl it in. You got to be excited if you're Spokane for what you're seeing from this attack, especially through Mackenzie Weiner and Amina Ekic.
Right back to the attack here for Spokane. Poor goal kick from Fort Lauderdale after that last opportunity by Weiner. Footballer Fuel coming your way. Scan now and you will win one of 20 unique restaurant discounts. Thank you to Caruso's, De Leon's, The Burger Dock, Flat Stick Pub, TT's Barbecue, Jimmy John's, Casa Top House, IHOP, and Steam Plant Restaurant and Brew Pub.
Joe, I was ready this time to scan, and
you got it?
Looks phenomenal. Get that 20% off your meal. I will take all these deals. Thank you, sponsors in USL. In all seriousness, it does feel like both teams actually, looking at this opening minutes compared to the first half, you get a sense of some more calmness. They've settled in a bit more. The possession's looking better. A lot more passes strung together, especially for Fort Lauderdale. But both sides building up the pitch a lot more, just not forcing it as much as we saw in the first half.
Gainer. Trying that ball over the top again to Gorley. There were moments in that first half where they started to get Gianna Gorley more involved, but still not nearly enough for Fort Lauderdale. Adrian Jordan with a nice turn. See the hand gesture from Jordan. Not happy with the lack of players showing for her. She does find Jasmine Hamid. Nothing comes of it from there for Fort Lauderdale, and they recycle through the back with Leveni Vaca.
And for the style of play that Fort Lauderdale wants to bring, of how they want to attack with the energy and the excitement and the runs, you can see the disconnect right now of just the backs, the midfielders able to possess well, and then still trying to figure out that next tier, how to break through to find their dynamic forwards that they have in a more dangerous space.
Well, it may come in the form of a substitution. You look to the bench for Fort Lauderdale, a player like Maya Christopher.
I do wonder who will be the first sub of this match for either side. I imagine that we'll get some changes, with it being week one, trying to keep people fresh, trying to see what they can do, of course.
On the left side for Cheyenne Allen to the end line. Allen drives it across, and it's just over. Jasmine Hamid.
Well done by Cheyenne Allen, able to get up that left flank on the far side, gets a pass from Vaca, gets forward, does a great job breaking past Ekic to now attack end line and drives it across the 6. Well done there by Jasmine Hamid on the back post. You see here, just misses the top of Hamid's head with that ball from Cheyenne Allen. Great opportunity for Fort Lauderdale.
Hamid has been in the mix a few times for Fort Lauderdale. Brief start to her professional career in Sweden after her collegiate career at Towson. She signed in Sweden in April, only 2 appearances, and then this opportunity here presented itself, came back stateside, and she had that partnership in college at Towson with Nia Christopher, who we've mentioned that could be that first sub off the bench for Fort Lauderdale needing a goal. Those two had 14 goals each last year at Towson, a dynamic duo to be sure. How about Shania Gordon on the other side? It's over the bar. The two wingers have been the most dangerous. Gordon on the left, Hamid on the right.
And you do see the personalities of these attackers really forming for what they're going to bring to Fort Lauderdale. For Shania Gordon, it's a lot more combining to feet, looking to take shots from distance, looking to take players on 1v1. Does a really good job here with the wall pass to get it back and be able to finish the shot first time. She's unable to get that to dip down on frame. Hamid on the other side feels more of that player that's on the other end of crosses and services, and more of just the work rate of the high pressure in the runs.
First change is going to come on the side of Spokane. That is going to be all tonight for McKenna Carr, replaced by Alyssa Bourgeois.
Right back was an area that head coach Joe Johnson mentioned there was a battle in that position, and they were not quite sure who was going to get the start today. So we're seeing Bourgeois step on to right back. We also have seen just a lot down that far side for Fort Lauderdale. You think of what Shania Gordon's been able to do. It's been a lot on the left flanks. So maybe just want to get some fresh legs in a different matchup as well.
Bourgeois hoping that her stint as a professional in Spokane goes better than her last trip to Spokane did as a collegiate player last year, where she was at Santa Clara. And the top two teams in the WCC battling for the conference title last year were Santa Clara and Gonzaga, playing right here in Spokane. It had been a while since Gonzaga had upset Santa Clara. Bourgeois, playing for Santa Clara, lost here against Gonzaga this past collegiate season. Now a member of the local professional team here. Drafted by the Houston Dash, 47th overall pick back in the winter. Never appeared for the club. Was an all-WCC honorable mention this past year at Powerhouse Santa Clara.
And I bet if we asked her that trivia question of where were you at when you lost and got upset by Gonzaga, I think she'd remember the date, time, which color cleat she was wearing. These are those moments you do not forget as a player, the good and unfortunately the bad of your career of those major upsets.
And the Gonzaga team here to support the local pro club now.
At least she gets the closure of looking to change the narrative of her experiences on this pitch. That's a positive. I'll spin cycle that one away.
Well, you asked for when the date was of that game. It was last October. And it was a match that I was on the call of. So she hopefully doesn't know that I'm calling this one. Otherwise, it would really ring a bad bell for Alyssa Bourgeois.
Bourgeois might have just trembled on the pitch. Her ears were ringing. Somebody said that fateful date.
October 29th.
Wow. Halloween time. Spooky.
And it's down that left side. Drew Gordon trying from a distance here, not testing Izzy Nino, who's really had a quiet go of it in goal. She made that terrific save on the ensuing attack up the field off the kickoff after Spokane's goal. It took it right down the field in a few touches, Fort Lauderdale. Nino made the best save of the day, has been largely untested since that point.
That's one of those things that if you are Spokane, you are thrilled to have that issue that Izzy Nino's not involved as much as his game's wearing on. Defensively, you do see how Spokane's been a lot more organized, doing a better job getting tight to the front three of Fort Lauderdale, not giving them as much time and space to be able to find them in dangerous spots. Now, that being said, we've seen Gordon and Hamid with some really good looks of their own.
Free kick on the way for Spokane. And Zephyr fans, you can scan the QR code to get your single match tickets today.
How simplified things are. You don't even have to worry about typing in a URL on the screen. Just scan and go. Making things convenient for you to watch great soccer and enjoy getting there in person as well.
And your 20% off that you got before as well.
You get some food deals. Again, if for everybody tuned in on Peacock, you're already winning today.
Here's Sophia Braun looking through for Ekic with a goal already. Had this effort blocked. Not sure if she was trying to cut that across actually to Weiner. This one catches her in the face, and Rebecca Pagan does the right thing and stops play here immediately. She did stop the play for a possible head injury, so I believe Ekic is going to have to come off here even for a moment, even though she seems to be all right.
Yeah, those are the type that sting you in the jaw and your face goes a little bit numb. You know, nowadays it's been a lot better of just being precautious with any time you're getting hit above the neck to make sure it's not anything serious. Cheyenne Allen was trying to clear that one away, and And that back touch actually put her right in line for Ekic, who now will get checked out, just to make sure everything's okay.
Going off to the far side of the field here. And as soon as she's able to, seems like she'll come back on. Trainer already leaving her side. Oh, he wouldn't have made it back across. In the meantime, Rebecca Pagan told him to go off on that side of the field as well. They're ready to resume play.
Nice little sportsmanship moment there. We love to see that.
Back to it now, an hour gone, a half hour to go. You're at One Spokane Stadium alongside the three-time D1 All-American Renee Washington. I'm Joe Malfa. I'm happy to have you with us here as we bring the opening day of the opening weekend to a close in the USL Super League. Carolina ascent 1-0 over DC Power earlier tonight. Same scoreline here with the home side on the right side of the result. But for now, Fort Lauderdale trying to get it back. Penalty shout there, but nothing too egregious. And now some changes coming. It's Nia Christopher who's going to finally enter the match for Fort Lauderdale. And it will be for Jasmine Hamid. So we won't get to see the Towson dynamic duo in action together yet. Again, those two scored 14 each last season for Towson. It's one for the other.
Tiger for a Tiger. It's a great substitution, though, for Fort Lauderdale to bring in somebody else that can just bring a different look to the attack and help you get that equalizing goal that they're seeking.
Adrienne Jordan. It's fed out wide to Christopher. Her first touch gives it away. All for Fort Lauderdale. Christopher left Towson as the all-time leading scorer with 41 goals. Again, 14 of those came last season. That number a career high. She also had a career high with 10 assists last season. And in the aftermath of the collegiate season, was able to play in the USL W League for Eagle FC out in Pennsylvania, where she was first team all USL W League. There she is again, Nia Christopher. To the end line, Christopher cuts it in front, already making a difference, winning a corner.
Exactly that. You see the impact. The first touch she had wasn't great, but made up for it with the second. Did a good job just getting around the edge. And Nia Christopher, I remember the impact she had on Towson and how she really helped change that program and raise their level. And right now, Fort Lauderdale needing someone to raise the level to help with the sophistication and composure in the final third.
11 caps and 7 goals for her native Bermuda as well. Nia Christopher made her debut in 2018 when she was just 17 at the senior level. Looks to be blood on the jersey that Rebecca Pagan spotted. That's why she sent Leveni Vaca over to the sideline. Has to get that taken care of. Stepping off the field now for a moment.
Good thing they've got extra jerseys because you gotta get that changed. There was a little bit of a mishap. There was an extra soccer ball on the pitch. There was the blood on Vaca's jersey. So getting everything squared away, some housekeeping being done to clean things up, quite literally, before we get this corner kick underway. This is building for a dramatic moment for us, Joe. I don't know.
After all that, can Spokane clean things up defensively? You'll notice the 88, so a new number now for Leveni Vaca.
With that, we get the first jersey change mid-game.
From the corner, Fort Lauderdale looking for what will be the first equalizer in USL Super League after Carolina won a 1-0 scoreline earlier.
The poor people watching are going to be so sick of us talking about all the firsts. This is just witnessing history right before our very own eyes. It does feel like Fort Lauderdale, who still has the better of possession numbers. They've kept it in their attacking third more. It's swung a lot more in the second half, though, with 60% possession.
Flick through here from Knox. despite that increased possession advantage here in this second half, they don't yet have that shot on target to show for it.
Bingo. And that is the key. They've gotten forward, they've gotten into the box, they've gotten corner kicks this entire match. But even the second half, it has increased. Just still waiting for that shot on target, that really threatening shot on target that forces Izzy Nino to make a big save.
Right in front of the Fort Lauderdale bench, the foul goes against Adrian Jordan. Tyrone Mears, head coach, not happy about it. Free kick coming here for Spokane.
Take a look at this again. Jordan just trying to step in. It's a little extra on that Cruyff, leading to the foul.
Zephyr fans getting match ready with the latest Zephyr merchandise. Shop online or in the team store at the Davenport Grand Hotel in Spokane.
Feels like both teams are very left side dominant, as we're seeing on this near sideline a battle. Mackenzie Weiner brought down the double team. Smothering defense by Fort Lauderdale.
Marley Canales still on taken down now. Play on, through it all. Knox plays it out wide. Shania Gordon can't get there. Took an odd angle, that ball. It seemed like she was trying to play the touch of Katie Murray, but Katie Murray never got a touch on it, just ran by.
That is textbook for a play of just a week one error. The run was there. Shania Gordon was looking to peel off of Katie Murray. The slotted pass went behind Katie Murray, which actually puts it in Murray's advantage versus going to the feet of Gordon. That's the type of thing of which passing lane are you hitting, which run are you making, that will improve with time. Just unfortunate that you're down 1-0 and you want to maximize that chance.
Change coming now for Spokane. Natalie Vigiano will step onto the field. That's going to be all for Taryn Reese.
We've seen a lot of Taryn Reese on this near sideline, involved especially in the last few plays. Trying to make some runs so they could find her. She probably wanted to be a little bit more involved down the left flank for Spokane.
Vigiano coming in, drafted last year in 2023 NWSL draft, 46th overall pick by Seattle. Made 3 appearances for the club. Standout collegiately at Wisconsin. All Big Ten first team in her senior season. Now steps on for her Spokane debut. Ekich still has the game's lone goal. Ekich taken away by Cheyenne Allen. Ekich might pick up a yellow card for that. She will. Battle's been fun between those two all day long. The opening moments of the match, 17th minute, that's when we saw Ekich blow by. Foul committed, penalty given. Now it's the other way around. Allen standing her ground, winning it clean, and Ekich doing the dirty work.
Yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. Well done defensively there by Cheyenne Allen, and just be patient, keep her feet moving, time her tackle to step in, win it, and then use her body to shield and get the other way to draw the foul. This is also part of, as these teams are matching up for the first time, you're learning who you maybe battle a little bit differently against opponents-wise. You know, some rivalries that start to brew, some frustrations. That's part of it too with these new teams and you're facing of maybe even starting to get some history with players in a different way.
These teams won't play again until December 7th in South Florida.
And a little extra pushing and shoving after the whistle on a few plays now, including the last 2. That intensity, though, does help so much as a player. It's fun, as long as it's, of course, appropriate, but it also just helps you just be in the moment, just compete. Both of these teams, that's something that they really pride themselves on, and their foundation of who they are as a team and competing.
Nice turn by Canales, but tracking back to win it Fort Lauderdale side. Christopher. For Celia Gaynor. Spokane at this point seemed content to concede a lot of this possession Fort Lauderdale's way. We talked a lot early on, Renee, about how it's the defensive play that might be more susceptible to mistakes than the attacking play, but so far, and I hope I'm not putting the jinx on it for the Spokane fans to come after me, but so far Spokane has been clean as can be defensively. Seems like they've been playing together already for a couple of months rather than just 5 weeks of preseason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is important. You have a 1-0 lead. You score pretty early in the first half, and to just sit on that lead and tighten up defensively says a lot about what this unit can provide moving forward. This is your week 1 ability to handle a lead and play with that lead and do a good job of not folding under the pressure that Fort Lauderdale is bringing.
It's been at the expense of really generating anything the other way offensively, but again, they already have the goal. They have the luxury of being able to play it this way if they so choose.
Spokane's actually been playing a lot tighter defensively for the most part.
Knocks to the end line, squares one centrally, off the shoulder and in! Izzy Nino got a piece, but not the whole thing, and there is the equalizer for Addie McCain.
Right on cue. Fort Lauderdale finds the back of the net, a broken play. We felt like you could see that goal coming soon for Fort Lauderdale with how they've been raising the tempo this second half. I won't give out your Twitter handle for people to come after you right now, Joe, but it starts here. The giveaway by Katie Murray as she was trying to get forward, and well done by Felicia Knox to just draw that one across. Great finish by Addie McCain. Just does enough to touch it past Izzy Nino. Beats out the defenders, able to beat out Nino and put Fort Lauderdale on the scoreboard. That's a huge tying play, especially with how much time is left in this game. To tie this game up, things just got that much more interesting.
I want to go back to all the firsts you're pointing out. There's the first commentator's curse of USL Super League.
And that's something you should hold with pride. It's so difficult to impact the game. We're not playing for them, but we have been pretty accurate so far with both goals, to be honest.
Really, again, to be fair to Spokane, that is the first real mistake they've made at the back. It does hurt them, and now we're level again with just under 18 minutes remaining. How quickly can they maybe flip the switch and get back into a higher gear offensively? Remember, they've been sitting back pretty much this whole half defending that 1-0 lead. They conceded over 60% of the possession in this half to Fort Lauderdale. Haven't had many opportunities of their own, but now, right away, they have a corner out of the equation. Corner brought to you by ICCU, your financial success fan club.
Great response by Spokane after giving up their first goal of this season to then go the other way and set up a corner kick. As you mentioned, just one mistake leads to it, and now they're going to hope they can capitalize on maybe a mistake by Fort Lauderdale.
Driven in swinger, almost in on its own. Going for the Olympico, it seemed, in the end. Ekic.
That was a great struck corner kick. Placed beautifully all across the goal line.
Morshea, the goalkeeper, down. So to the goal scorer, Addie McCain. McCain, who found that leveler for Fort Lauderdale, was the number 17 overall pick in the 2021 NWSL draft by Kansas City. 35 appearances in her time in NWSL to go with a goal and an assist. Two-time All-SEC player. At Texas A&M was the 2020 SEC Midfielder of the Year. And now she will come off here for Fort Lauderdale. Left her mark on this one with their first goal in club history with the equalizer tonight. And it's Tati Fung who will replace.
Well done by Addie McCain to make that extra run to score the goal on one end, but also was a big part of why they did not concede a goal on that last corner kick. You saw her having to stretch out a little bit, maybe some cramping. It is still August early in the season of week 1. but we saw the effort. You'd love to see a player not only putting in the work to put the ball away, but also to maintain the defensive stop that you need. This is where things get interesting. This is uncharted territory. We're back to being tied up, but unlike the early parts of the game, clock is winding down. Both teams have struck once and had their fair share of chances. And as these substitutions come in, you wonder how with these fresh legs, both of these teams can have a strong push to close out this match. It's about winning the next 15 minutes in whatever stoppage time we have to see if you can walk away victorious.
Celia Gaynor stepping up, a few nice line-breaking passes from her center back position tonight. She's shown a knack for that ability. Adrienne Jordan. Gorley centers, still loose now, trying to get it clear. They can't. Loose in front edge of the area. Fung, the substitute, finding Christopher. There was a shout for a penalty from Fort Lauderdale, and that was one they seemed to think they were going to get for sure. A lot of contact there. Spokane gets away with it.
There have definitely been some close near PKs outside of the one penalty kick we did see awarded. That was a very close one there. I know for Fort Lauderdale, they are not happy. Head coach Mears and company are very upset about that. But also as this game ticks on, the physicality is also increasing. The intensity is definitely increasing. And now with this tied up, you wonder how much that's going to be the game changer for who can make that final big play.
Jordan coming through, and the offside flag came up. 12 minutes remaining. Fort Lauderdale found the equalizing goal and thought for a moment they were going to have a penalty to try and take the lead.
They're trying to get things organized a little bit here, as we're not going to get that offside kick right away.
Get your phone ready though. You ready? You ready? Scan now and you'll win one of 20 unique restaurant discounts. Thank you, Caruso's, Leon's Taco and Bar, the Burger Doc, Plastic Pub, TT's Barbecue, Jimmy John's, Casa Top House, IHOP, and Steam Plant Restaurant and Brew Pub.
Where are we headed with our discount?
Wherever you want. Plenty of options. Carolyn Mears did pick up a yellow card. All that was the delay in the offside kick.
I had a feeling that a card was coming. Mears was very adamantly upset after that. There was no foul called on the PK. There's been some really hard tackles like that last one we just saw.
It's a yellow for Melissa Bourgeois.
Take a look at this play here that led to the hard foul and yellow card against Bourgeois. Bourgeois, add that to her list of frustrating experiences that she's had on this pitch. This is what you want though from your home opener. It comes down to who wants it more. We've seen lots of yellow cards on both sides. We've seen some really hard, gritty plays. Now it's just about wanting it more than the team across from you. It's what you dream of for a home opener.
Popped up over the top by Nia Christopher. Had the overlap from Cheyenne Allen. Instead, forces it into a giveaway. Marley Canales jumps it. Canales wants to go.
Fort Lauderdale continues to be very organized defensively, especially in transition. We saw it again on that last play. Just doing a good job tracking back, getting their shape early. That is something that they've talked about, wanting to be able to implement from the opening whistle of their season opener.
Gordon, who's down on the near side.
Shania Gordon just drops down, holding on to what appears to be like her ankle area. This is the tough part also as a player. Not only are you dealing with your season opener, but you're not really 90 minutes fit yet. You're learning your teammates, you're figuring out how you're gonna play as a unit.
And this again was what led to the Tyrone Mears yellow card. A lot of contact there, right into the planted leg of Christopher. You and I sort of shared a glance just now as we saw that again for the second time. I think you and I are on the same wavelength there, that maybe should have been that penalty for Fort Lauderdale, and why Tyrone Mears got that yellow card.
I'm with Tyrone Mears and his staff on that one. You look at how much contact that was. Nia Christopher won the ball cleanly, takes that first touch, and the foul, that was all body. There's no ball on that for it to be considered a fair play or advantage or anything. Again, this is why I'm not an official, because I would definitely not be great in these types of situations.
Gordon did come off. Anna Henderson replaces. There's the third sub used now by Fort Lauderdale. They all come in different substitution windows as well. Chance here off the giveaway, but that ball wrong side of the intended target. Just haven't been on the same page tonight with Gianna Gorley, a player who we expect big things out of in this league. But here on night one for Fort Lauderdale, they have not been on the same page in getting the service for their leading striker.
Yeah, you can just see the miscues and how they're looking to build. It's an unfortunate turnover.
There's been more signs of life from Spokane after they've opened up a bit more in the aftermath of conceding the equalizer. Throw now from down near the corner flag for the home side. Here in this second half, they don't have a shot on target. They only have 40% of the possession, and they've coughed up their 1-0 lead. Elmer gets there in the nick of time, but it's recovered by the substitute Anna Henderson for Fort Lauderdale.
And as this game is wearing on, you're seeing where Fort Lauderdale is continuing to be a little bit more dominant. Spokane was sitting on that 1-0 lead, but you could not continue that just high pressure that you were being dealt by Fort Lauderdale. At some point, you had a feeling Fort Lauderdale was going to tie things up and continue to change the tides, and they have so far.
That's Mackenzie Weinert. Weinert cutting in. Back to her preferred left foot. Weinert floats it toward the back post! Wrong side of the post on the header. A slap of the turf after that miscue. The opportunity was certainly there. And it's Sophia Braun who had the chance.
This is exactly what you need. Mackenzie Weinert working 1v1, does a good job. Just rolls it back to herself, quick change of direction, allows her to open up some space, and 3 different players crashing the box. You take a look from this angle, you've got 3 different players for Spokane crashing the net, and Sophie Braun on the other end of it does a perfect job of heading it towards goal, just outside of the post. Man, that's a close one.
Offside flag up the other way. It feels like it's going to finish as it started, with it end-to-end open like it was for the first 10 minutes. Starting to feel like it's trending that way again with these teams knotted up at 1.
I wonder, though, with a play like that last one we saw off of Mackenzie Weiner to Sophie Braun, if that's going to give Spokane enough extra. They've already got the loud home crowd in their favor. We heard from them even at halftime how they've been feeding off of that. That might be enough to push through for these final minutes. They've been taking the punches from Fort Lauderdale. See if they can punch one back.
Select is the official match ball supplier of the USL Super League and many elite leagues throughout Europe. Visit us.select-sport.com for the latest Select product specials and more. Select, the player's choice.
Another example there. Gianna Gorley trying to get the ball up top for Fort Lauderdale. Looking to make runs, looking to find some pockets to get the ball to her feet, and there she does, get a touch in.
Here's Anna Henderson. The story of Henderson can factor into a winner for Fort Lauderdale. Originally from Kirkland, Washington, her college career took her to Louisville, then Central Florida. Then from there, her professional career began in Sweden. And now she ends up here with Fort Lauderdale, playing in her home state against Spokane. So just behind Henderson, back to Weiner. Canales. Sarah Clark. Around for Sydney Cummings. Into Taylor Almer. Again, it's Clark. Cummings. Looking over the top, and it's too much.
Weiner gives the thumbs up. The idea was there. Spokane needed this opportunity to really string some passes together and force Fort Lauderdale to chase. It's been the opposite way for most of the second half. And even with that missed pass, it does force that deep throw-in from Adrian Jordan out of her own defensive third.
Minutes to go. One Spokane. That one's too long.
So now Spokane, although they're looking to stretch the field, they're getting their outside backs wider, they're getting their middies higher. Seems like they're forcing it a little bit on that pass to their forwards. We saw to Weiner moments ago, we just saw it again there.
Nothing else changes here, considering first game after 5 weeks of preseason, just getting to know each other. No one's really going to complain too much about a 1-1 draw as you get to pick up a point, learn about things, improve going forward. That was something that both coaches spoke about this week. While they're figuring themselves out, they want to pick up as many points as they can, so it's not worthless lessons learned. You're picking up something in the meantime while you're figuring yourselves out, always looking to pick up 3 over 1, but I'm not going to complain about 1 if you could pick up that 1 in the inaugural match.
Not to mention, it says a lot of what your team can look like if you're still managing to get points when you're not playing at your best. What will it look like when things are clicking, when the chemistry's there, when the rotations and combinations are figured out? So even for building, to be able to steal points as you're learning and piecing things together helps a lot in the long run.
The way things have gone tonight, yes, Spokane coughed up the 1-0 lead. I don't know if Joe Johnson, the head coach, would feel too poorly about it being 1-1 because, yes, they were up 1-0. They had that penalty in the 17th minute, but Renee, if you asked 100 people about this one as they watched, I think a vast majority would say Fort Lauderdale's been the better of the sides for much of the night. So You walk away with the 1 point. You're unhappy that you coughed up the lead if you're Spokane, but again, you gritted through. You had good moments defensively. 5 minutes tacked on at the end here, and you look to put it together for the next one.
Yeah, exactly. Spot on. I mean, the hardest part is knowing you had the lead first. But if you had just looked at the play itself and said, well, we walked away tied 1-1, not knowing who had scored first, you would take this type of a result for your opener for the season with all the new coming in and just how much Fort Lauderdale has honestly wreaked havoc in getting forward. So I agree with you. I think for both teams, there's definitely a lot of positives to take away from this on how their team is setting their identity and their tone of play at this part of the season.
All the way back for Izzy Nino. And cleared to safety. One back by Jordan. Bounds through for Gianna Gorley. Tried to bend it around. Felicia Knox couldn't quite get it there. And Knox did pick up an assist, by the way, despite that deflection on the goal for Fort Lauderdale. So it's Felicia Knox doing exactly what she was brought to Fort Lauderdale to do, is supply. She's the all-time assist leader at Alabama. She gets the first assist for Fort Lauderdale. Jordan, it's back to Knox. Can she find another one here?
The other thing for both of these teams, as you look at this game and we're into stoppage time tied up, is it does force you to have from game one a big test of how will your team handle the adversity, the fatigue, the mental challenges. There's been yellow cards given out. There's been some missed calls, or maybe even just calls that either team doesn't agree with, I should say. So it just also shows you who can be those game changers that you can rely on in these big moments to help you grind out games like this.
Taken away by Tati Fung. Christopher wants it left. Gorley wants it center. Fung lays it off instead to Knox.
Unfortunate heavy touch there for Knox. But Fung's been really good in the midfield since stepping onto the pitch of helping to get Fort Lauderdale forward. We've seen a number of plays similar to that last one of picking off passes and starting transition the other way.
Here's Leveni Vaca. Pressure stepping up from Spokane. It's forced all the way back to Morshea. Pressure still closing in. And it's out of play. You can't watch the match. Turn on Sirius XM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source for engaging soccer talk. To look into the Super League with host Marion Crowder and Anna Whitty as well. Follow along on Sirius FC and the Sirius XM app.
A lot of fancy footwork on this near sideline. Both teams trying to see if they can get that one last opportunity. Time is dwindling here, but there is enough to try to get one more chance. You just also don't want to be susceptible the other way.
Sydney Cummings. On a night where 1-1 would feel fair, there's still a minute to go. If there's any drama left within this one. On the attack now, Spokane. Crowd to its feet. They sense something might be on, and it's out for a goal kick. Great bit of defending on the back end of that one by Felicia Knox, tracking back.
Well done by Felicia Knox in a 2v1 situation where she was the player down. This is great defending, able to cut off the angle and be first to that ball. As you saw Spokane racing forward, well done there by Knox to time the tackle and make sure that there was nothing dangerous to come out of that opportunity for Spokane.
Christopher. It's their last chance for Fort Lauderdale. Fung taken away by Spokane. Coming up on 5 minutes of stoppage time now. Will they be allowed one more attack here? The crowd hopes so. Rebecca Pagan letting it go that way, but it's given away. 5 minutes now come and gone.
I imagine that will just about do it. She hasn't brought the whistle to her mouth yet, but we are closing in on the first draw of the season.
Ball did stay in, but no matter. There is the final whistle. It finishes 1-1 tonight between Spokane Zephyr FC and Fort Lauderdale United. First match for both of these clubs, and they both take a point each from the 90 minutes.
Hard-fought game on both sides. We saw some great plays, some great defending, and a lot of positives for each of these teams to build off of from week one.
Amina Akic scored the opening goal in the 17th minute as we take a look at tonight's Modelo play of the match from this 1-1 draw. And the play of the match is that first ever goal for Akic and Zephyr FC.
Yes, and well done by Akic to put this penalty kick away. The first goal of the season for Spokane. You see the composure there as she's approaching it to place it in the corner, celebrate and get the lead for her team.
Celebration would happen there in the 17th minute, but not at the end of the final whistle because of the equalizer from Fort Lauderdale in the 72nd minute. Addie McCain found the leveler, and on a goal each, these teams take a point each. We're back to wrap it all up from One Spokane Stadium in just a moment as Spokane and Fort Lauderdale tie 1-1 here in the inaugural weekend of the USL Super League. Spokane ends up giving up the lead. They had it 1-0 until the 72nd minute. Fort Lauderdale equalized. The teams take a point each on the goal each, and that equalizer was scored by Addie McCain. She's standing by with our Elise Woodward.
All right, thanks for your team. You guys trailed for most of this game until the goal in the 72nd minute. It was a broken play, but you were in the right spot. Tell me how that play developed for you.
Yeah, no, I think Felicia put in the extra effort down the line, got a cross off, and I just wanted to be there. And I didn't really hit it very clean, but I got enough on it, so it was good enough to tie the game.
First goal in the history of Fort Lauderdale United FC. What's that mean to you?
It means a lot. Like, just to be able to get this team again, like I said, tie up the game. I feel like we fought really hard, played well as a team. I think we deserved a little more. We should have created and finished a few more chances, and so to be able to come back and tie and yeah, get that first goal out of the way, it means a lot.
It's a really big deal. It was a historic day for this league and for so many more opportunities for women professionally, and the crowd showed up. What was this day like for you?
A lot of waiting around, anticipation, but yeah, I would love to shout out the crowd here in Spokane. They were pretty unreal, and I hope every environment's just like this. We're grateful to have more opportunities to keep playing, and when fans show up and show the support, it really means the world. So.
And what'd you learn today about your team?
I think we're going to be hard to beat. We're going to fight. We're going to be gritty. That's our goal at least, and I think we showed that a little bit today. I think we're going to put a few more goals in the back of the net, but I think today we showed that we're going to be a hard team to beat.
All right, thanks for your time.
Yeah, for sure.
That's Addie McCain. We'll send it back to you.
You could hear what it meant to Addie McCain just to have the fans here, even on the road. We saw over 10,000 in the first game of the night with Carolina beating DC. We saw a sellout here, and they had plenty to cheer about early on, Renee.
Yeah, and this is what led to the first goal. Working 1v1, you've got Amina Ekic going up against Cheyenne Allen. 1v1, rolls one way, cuts back the other way for the Meg, draws the foul, and then steps up and is able to finish that goal against Cassette Morche. And take a look at this again. Well done by Amina Ekic, edging her name into some history with the first for Spokane. And now trailing by one with a great defensive play going the other way. It's Felicia Knox who finds Addie McCain. You heard her just describing the play herself. She did do just enough to be able to squeeze it past Izzy Nino and tie the game up in the 72nd minute, able to convert off of that turnover that was led by Katie Murray. Well done by both teams in that outing.
I take a point each, but as you look at the stats, Fort Lauderdale seemed to be the better team a lot of the night.
Without a doubt. I mean, stats heavily favored Fort Lauderdale. I'm sure that's something they're going to talk about, is how can we take these stats on paper and that transition and translate, I should say, into goals, into wins. But for game number one for both these teams to open up the season, tremendous outing on both sides, lots of great soccer and lots of great takeaways moving forward into the rest of the season.
Here in the opening weekend of the USL Super League, remember, you can come back for more tomorrow when Tampa Bay has their home opener as well. This one finishes 1-1 between Spokane and Fort Lauderdale, and that'll do it for us tonight this evening. For the crew that makes this possible, I'm broadcast partner Renee Washington. I'm Joe Malfa saying so long for now from One Spokane Stadium. A lot of fans went home tonight, maybe hoping for a win, but it finishes 1-1 between Spokane and Fort Lauderdale. Good night, everybody. Ekic with the legs. Ekic taken down. Penalty. Ekic with the legs. Ekic taken